So here's the first big idea from the Bible that every Christian content creator needs to know. Play to your strengths. 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. You've got a unique gift. You've got unique abilities. God has woven greatness into your DNA. But a huge mistake that we can make is looking at somebody else's gift that we don't have and getting jealous. A big mistake we can make is trying to be somebody else and actually playing to our weaknesses instead of our strengths. What's exciting is that the opportunity we have on YouTube is to use the gifts God has given us. Just as it says in 1 Peter, each of you should use the gift you've received to serve others. What a mission statement for our YouTube channels. Use the gift that you've received, your talents, your experience, the wisdom you've gained, and serve others. And this platform called YouTube gives us that opportunity. You know, you win games with your strengths, not your weaknesses. And it actually reminds me of a famous book called Strengths Finder 2.0. One thing that every Christian content creator needs to do is identify your zone of genius. You got to identify your strengths. I've heard it said that God graces you where he places you. Like you have a unique grace for certain things and you don't have a grace for other things. Like for me, you don't want to put me on a stage with a guitar singing music and singing songs. Like that's not my grace. Like for me, you don't want to put me in certain environments like high level athletics. Like I kind of run around the block a few times daily, but then I put the block back under my bed. Like as a real athlete, that's not going to be my grace zone. So you want to find your grace zone. And I love this book. It's a classic book. And here's a quote from Tom Rath. It says this: far too many people spend a lifetime headed in the wrong direction. They go not only from the cradle to the cubicle, but then to the casket without uncovering their greatest talents and potential. The key to human development is building on who you already are. The key to human development is building on who you already are. What are your strengths? What's unique about your personality? One of the keys to succeeding on YouTube is authenticity. Have you ever watched a creator when you could just tell they're a little bit different? I don't love everything about their personality, but they're comfortable in their own skin. I can tell that they are who they are. They're being themselves. They're expressing who they really are. Have you also seen other creators that maybe felt like, they just feel a little fake? They feel like they're maybe trying to be somebody that they aren't, and that content doesn't resonate with us. So there's something powerful about playing to our strengths. And it actually reminds me about the story of David going to fight Goliath. And you know, I've been reading this book to my 3-year-old at night, young Sean Bradley, and we're reading this story of David versus Goliath. And there's a part in the story where King Saul finally agrees to let David go and fight Goliath. And he says, here, try on my armor. So David puts on the helmet and the breastplate and the shield and the sword, and he realizes this stuff doesn't fit. This isn't something I'm comfortable with. This isn't something I've practiced or trained with. This isn't me. So he takes off the armor, goes down to a stream, picks out 5 smooth stones, which he had experience using a slingshot. He was comfortable and familiar with that particular method of warfare. What does this story reveal? It reveals that the only way for David to contribute his best to the cause was to be authentically himself. You know, Saul's armor represented wealth, power, and the latest technology, while David's sling represented simplicity and vulnerability. Now, each of those, rightly understood, is a gift from God. If your greatest skill set is the money that you have to steward and the power that you have to steward and using the latest tech and the fanciest gear, stuff's not bad. Rightly understood, that's a gift from God. But that didn't fit David. For David, it was about simplicity and vulnerability, and that is what was used to advance God's kingdom. So what does that mean for you and I? We have to play to our strengths. What assets, what resources, what strengths do you have? Don't worry about the things you don't have or trying to wear Saul's armor. Figure out your 5 smooth stones, your sling, and play to your strengths.